It is a new year with 2025 beginning, and with that, I want to continue on a tradition I started in 2020. This year, 25 predictions for the 2025 NASCAR season. Let's jump on into it. Let's start out hot with number one. At least two past Cup Series champions will miss the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. And I think there are three that are most likely for this. Joey Logano, the defending champion. We've seen Logano miss before. He has consistently gotten worse and worse in performance year over year, and it's not out of the realm of possibility for him to again be a 14th to 18th place driver. Now, he also could turn around and be really good this year too. That is kind of the pendulum of Logano. There also is Brad Keselowski, who ran pretty well last year, but really tumbled at the end of the season, and you only can have so many good years left at the age that guys like him and the next guy we'll talk about are. I think that he's probably the least likely of the three to miss, but I think he's somebody who can. And then also Kyle Busch, who missed last year, not getting any younger, and also he's racing for RCR, so that already puts him behind the proverbial 8 ball. Next up, I think that at least 6 drivers that missed the 2024 Cup playoffs will make it in 2025. There were a lot of good drivers that did end up missing last year. Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, to name a few. There are teams that are on the up and up, like Spire, who already have drivers who can compete at tracks and win races. Kaulig, for instance, has drivers who can win at the road courses. And on top of that, there is just pure dumb luck when it comes to wins sometime. And I think that it's going to happen in 2025. My third prediction is that a Spire driver will make the 2025 Cup playoffs. I think that Spire is a team that's really positioning itself well, and with Michael McDowell jumping aboard, he is somebody immediately we can all look at. But I also think Carson Hocevar has shown some pretty good speed, and if he's able to come up and steal a win even in overtime, well, that's going to punch your ticket as of now into the 2025 playoffs. I say as of now because I do think that in some way NASCAR will switch up the playoff format, whether for this year or for the 2026 season. I think that the most likely one is maybe that it just is a playoff cap. Maybe it's more or less, instead of anyone who can win, it's top 30 or top 25 or whatever. But I do think they'll switch it up in some way and then maybe make a bigger change when they can change the schedule up in 2026. Fifth up is that I think SVG will win at least one Cup race in 2025. Honestly, I think he probably can win multiple, especially with these road courses, with him getting more and more used to these cars, and also the fact that, well, let's just face it, he's already probably in the top 3 best road course racers as of now, and I don't see him getting any worse anytime soon. SVG also is going to be racing for a team that overall has plenty of speed, so a pop-up run that could end up in a win is not out of the realm of possibility either. As of a bit more out there ones, I think that a further out in the season, Alex Bowman could make it to the round of 8. I think Alex Bowman is somebody who is severely overlooked by the majority of NASCAR fans. He's somebody who, yes, is not going to lead as many laps as a guy like Chase Elliott or William Byron or Kyle Larson. He's not going to win as many races as them, but he is very consistent. That team is very good, and he's a really good driver. I think that Bowman could make a surprise run at the championship this year, as, well, anyone can make it far. As for his teammate Chase Elliott, I think he's going to win multiple races this year. I think that the people saying that Chase Elliott is a mid-driver are haters or just overlooking him. I think that Elliott put on such a good early career performance in the Cup Series that many, I don't think, are used to him not being that good. Yeah, he had his injury, and it's going to take a while to get fully back to form, but if anyone can, it's going to be Chase. He has 2 great teammates that already overshadow him, William Byron and Kyle Larson, and I think it's about time the 9 gets out there and starts showing why he, for the longest time, was seen as Hendrick's franchise driver. I'm going to be Mr. Positive here at the number 8 prediction and say that no crown jewel races will be rain delayed in 2025. Now, that is not to say they won't have red flags. They maybe will have track problems like the 2010 Daytona 500, but I do think that we have probably, had enough withdrawals from the bad luck bank for at least a year. And I do think that we're going to have at least 1 year coming up that's going to be just perfectly blue skies, hot days, and great racing. And I think it's going to be 2025. Next up, I do think that Denny Hamlin will be taking a big step back this year. He'll probably still make the playoffs. Denny Hamlin is one of the best drivers to ever grace the NASCAR Cup Series, but with a new crew chief, getting older, and competition not getting any worse, I do think that Denny has his work cut out for him this year. He might still make a good run towards a championship, but I don't think that the years of him being a 4 to 8 time winner are going to repeat anytime soon. I could only see maybe a win or two coming from this year, and if anything better comes out of it, well, that is really good. Now for the 10th prediction, I think that there will be another finish below 1/100th of a second. Yeah, I think we're going to have another photo finish in 2025. The next gen has proven to be prone to many of these great finishes and great moments for NASCAR, and to keep it short, I don't see why we can't have a short margin of victory again. Kind of in the same vein, I do also think NASCAR will go viral again in some way in 2025. Ever since the next-gen car was introduced into NASCAR, there have been viral moments galore, most of them revolving around Ross Chastain, but also great finishes like Atlanta last year or Kansas, among others. Maybe the Kyle Larson deal with the double. That's something that I think went viral with a lot of motorsports fans. I think it happens again. I don't know in which way, but I do think that NASCAR in some way or another is going to be the top trending thing on social media for everyone. All right, I've been pretty positive. Let's kind of even it out a little bit. Unfortunately, I do think we're going to have another giant one at Daytona for the Daytona 500 this year. We're going to have a 40 car field, and I think we'll have a 20 plus car wreck. Why? Well, nowadays, it seems like there's not as many big wrecks with the next-gen car early on in these races, and then when they go crazy at the end, they have the big wrecks. We saw it this past year at the Daytona 500, as well as the Daytona Fall Race, among others. And I think this is going to happen again. A lot of rusty drivers who have only had Bowman Gray to go off of when it comes to racing in the Cup Series since November, and I think that somebody's going to make a mistake at the end, and it's going to take out a lot of really, really good drivers. Now for Lucky 13, I do think that Penske's reign of terror over Phoenix and the NASCAR Championship will come to an end in 2025. I know they have been so dominant at these short, flat tracks, but you got to think after 4 years, another team at some point is going to figure these tracks out. And it's not an even year, so it ain't going to be Joey Logano. Austin Cindric, yeah, right. And then Ryan Blaney is probably the only hope. But I do think that somebody else, whether it be Hendrick Motorsports, Joe Gibbs Racing, maybe a Trackhouse who ended up winning in 2023 in the finale with Ross Chastain, one of them's going to make it that far, figure it out, and beat him. Penske's the ones to beat, and I think somebody is going to do just that. I talked about the double earlier, and I'm going to talk about it again, as I think that Kyle Larson will finish 7th or better in both races, the Indy 500 and Coke 600. He ran really well in the Indy 500 last year before the penalty, and he is awesome at Charlotte. There's no reason to think that Kyle Larson, with a year's experience of what to expect in here, is not going to get better year over year. And to finish off the Cup predictions on this video, I think that overtime finishes will be less than 2024. 2024 setting the record in both how many overtimes individually there were combined, as well as races with overtime. I think we get less. I don't think we see a 5 overtime race at Nashville again. I don't think we see a ton of them be at a bunch of road courses, super speedways, whatever. I think that we're going to have a high amount in comparison to any years past, no matter which way you cut it, but I don't think we're going to have another record-breaking year. Jumping over to the Xfinity series, I'm predicting that Connor Zilisch will win 3 or more races next year. I don't think that he's going to set the world on fire and win 10, but to think that he's not going to win a good amount, I think is asinine. Last year in 4 starts, he got a win, 3 top 5s, a 5.3 average finish. I mean, he was up there just about every week. Road courses, intermediates, you name it. And I think that Zilisch is going to repeat just that. He had enough speed to be up there with some of the best out there. I mean, at one point, he was outrunning guys like SVG. And, I was there at Kansas. He was wheeling that thing up to the front. If you give him a 5th place car, that dude's going to lead half the race and win it. And I think he's going to do just that a lot in 2025. Now, for his teammate, I don't think Justin Allgaier repeats as champion. Listen, I think Justin Allgaier will probably be in the Final Four. I think that he'll put on a great drive. I think he will challenge whoever wins the championship. Even if he doesn't make the Final Four, he'll be challenging that driver for the win at Phoenix. But I don't think that we're going to see a repeat year over year. I think with so many intangibles and variables added into this, with so many new drivers, with so many inexperienced drivers, I think that the 2025 season with the Xfinity Series is going to be chaotic in many ways. And we might get a crapshoot when it comes to entering the championship. And if we're looking at luck, Justin Allgaier historically has not been somebody with deep pockets at the luck bank. I also think a former powerhouse in this series will not win a race next year, and that is Kaulig. With drivers like Daniel Dye, Josh Williams, and Christian Eckes, I don't think the prospects are high, especially early in the season. Maybe later with Eckes, but I really don't see Kaulig being the one to set the world on fire and all of a sudden go out there and be one of the top teams again. Maybe they sneak a super speedway win. Maybe they get some luck or a good strategy, but I don't see them dominating any races, and I think they could actually lead as a team less than 100 laps this year. Someone I do see winning is Ryan Sieg. I think he's going to break through and get a win in 2025. He was strong on the intermediates in 2024, had so many different opportunities, a couple races where he was the fastest one out there. If that team is able to continue after Stewart-Haas Racing and that alliance kind of going away or not being the same, I think Sieg breaks through. To close out the Xfinity side of things, I think the Hendrick number 17 will win 3 or more Xfinity races next year. I do think the Xfinity field is a bit weaker than it has been in years past, and I think that more opportunities will open up. They'll have to beat some of the likes of Allgaier, Zilich, and Ryan Sieg, like I talked about earlier, as well as many others, but I do think that HMS and the 17, those Cup guys coming in, I think they're going to be very potent and hard to deal with. Entering the Truck Series predictions, I think Corey Heim will win 8 or more truck races next year. Listen, there's an added amount of truck races for next year. I get there's more opportunities, so that's probably going to add into it, but he is the class of the field. And with Christian Eckes leaving, there is going to be especially guys like Lane Riggs and others who are going to challenge him, but I don't think, especially early in the year, there's anyone who's going to be on the level of Corey Heim. I think by the end of the year there will be, probably not win the championship again, but I do think that he's still going to set the world on fire. I think that one of his biggest challengers will be a guy who I think is going to make the championship 4 and possibly win the truck title, and that is Lane Riggs. Lane Riggs ended the year on a heater last season, and I think that he can do just as well throughout the entirety of the 2025 season. He started slow, but you could see clear progression throughout the season. And with a strengthening front row team and plenty more when it comes to financial backing, I see no reason why he can't continue to take those steps up. And then closing out the Truck Series side of things, I think Caden Honeycutt driving for Nice will make the truck playoffs and get a win during the 2025 season. He raced really well at the end of last year and in his short stint, and I think that he will only continue to get better as the year goes on. Let's close out on 2 last just overall predictions for NASCAR as a whole this year. First off, NASCAR viewership will be down at least 12% year over year in 2025. I get that NASCAR was up 1% last year, even with the rained out Daytona 500, but let's not pretend that NASCAR is even at the level it was back in 2019 or even 2022. It's been down a bit, and there was a pretty negative way to end out the year. So sentiment with the diehards will be down. And I don't think we're going to pull in many more when it comes to the overall audience, the kind of casual NASCAR fan, as you will, because there's going to be more races on FS1 and USA Network, so more cable races. TNT also is cable, less races on Big NBC and Fox, and we're going to have our first ever 5 races exclusively streamed to Amazon Prime, including the Coke 600, which even rained out on Fox is still going to be a pretty big viewership pull. And I think that to finish off, NASCAR this year will announce 3 new tracks of the Cup schedule that will be in 2026 or beyond. This can be Sao Paulo, Brazil for the Clash. This could be a San Diego street race that's been talked about, or Denver or Seattle. This could be a return to tracks like Rockingham or Chicagoland. But one way or another, we're going to see a good new slate of tracks for 2026 for the NASCAR Cup Series in some way, and we're going to hear news about it all through 2025. So there it is, my 25 predictions for 2025. Now I want to know what you think. What are your predictions for this year? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like in this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support, and until next time, have a good one.